Get you.
All right, Coach, what were your impressions after the first 2 days of spring practice?
Yeah, a lot of up and down. I mean, I think the number one thing is you don't build a program in 2 days. Certainly there's some positives that you see. And still we're in that phase with just a couple days where, helmets and you don't have pads on or anything like that. So it's kind of a continuation of the off season in so many ways. Obviously competitiveness goes up and you can do some more things structurally and line up across from guys and some of that stuff. So you start seeing some guys as competitors, which is good. You can't walk through every scenario and every formation and every play and stuff like that. So you gotta go against each other to see some of those things, which give you a million things to coach. From an effort standpoint, I think it's been probably up and down, but by and large, they're trying to give us at least what they think we expect from them. And part of the process now this spring is changing the expectation in terms of what it is that it makes a night football player, and most specifically for us, a night on defense. And so we got a long way to go.
You just hit on that. What are you most trying to accomplish this spring? Is it a little bit more of that latter part?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is just create the expectation from an effort standpoint as well as an execution standpoint. Effort's not extra, and sometimes the situation you find yourselves in, especially with inexperienced football players, if I give great extra, if I give great effort, it's almost like I gave extra credit on that particular play. No, that's the expectation every single snap. And the nice thing with all the things that Coach Frost throws at us offensively, tempo and formations and everything else, it's a great opportunity for the guys to kind of get through some of the junk that messes with your eyes and everything else, and in the end, regardless of what it is, you got to go find the ball and then go rally to it. So we got a long way to go to create those things, but it's an okay start.
Which position group on your side of the football are you the most encouraged by, or the most anticipating maybe the biggest growth during the spring?
Yeah, and I think it's too early to tell. I mean, so much of this turns into, what are you without pads on and what are you with pads on, and when you don't have pads on, it's the only thing we had to evaluate these the biggest 2 days of 2025, and then very quickly, I don't want to say you dismiss them, but you get fairly dismissive of them once you get the pads on tomorrow morning. So that'll give us a little bit more of an indicator. The big thing is every level of the defense, from a bar standpoint, has to raise it, exponentially higher than what we find ourselves 2 days in, which probably is to be expected. Not just from a new staff, but also just in the transfer portal age, you got a lot of new faces and stuff like that, and so we're not going to cancel the next 13.
Coach, Richard mentioned working with Coach Frost. How has it been working with him, discussing different game plans and working against his offense?
Yeah, I think it's an absolute massive challenge defensively. From there's nothing you don't see. There's nothing you can kind of cross off and say, well, we're not going to have to handle this adjustment or this formation or this type of play. It has a variation of just about everything, which as a defensive coach, you got two options. You either say, well, that's a frustration, or you can say, what a great opportunity for us. And so, by and large, I would say through the first 2 days, we've probably seen as much as anybody in the country from an offensive standpoint against us, which is an advantage.
Would you say you guys are feeding off of each other's game plans?
I think it's way too early. I mean, this is one of those instances right now where it's the initial install. We got very little in on defense. As much as I think they got a lot in on offense, Coach Frost probably tells you they got very little in on offense as well. So, still early in that regard.
Coach, what are you seeing from that safety position? Damari has been here a little while. I know he was out last year with an injury. You got a lot of transfers in. How's that mix kind of looking like early on?
Yeah, if you asked me yesterday, I would have said I felt pretty good about the position. You unfortunately asked it to me today, and I think we got a long way to go. And I think just from a consistency standpoint, one of the things we talked to the guys about, safety is not a percentage position. There's some positions where if you get it right a large percentage of the time, you're gonna survive. Safety doesn't work that way, and so it's still a wide open competition among that group. A lot of guys haven't played football. And some of the guys have to recognize that and put more work in, and obviously it's my job to get them flying around and get them coached up, which I'm confident we'll get that done. But it's going to take more than 2 days certainly to do that.
When you look at your secondary, how would you like them to perform this year? You want them to be more attacking, more physical? Kind of is that your thought process when you look at that?
You want the combination of speed, and you also want the run and hit component. And one of the phrases that we use is want to be knockdown pieces in the run game. And so an example I would use is if the offense kind of goes one for one in terms of the defensive front. They block it up exactly how they draw it up. There's got to be another piece on that back end to knock it down. It might be a 6-yard gain, might be a 5-yard gain at times. Offense is really good in this day and age, and so, but being willing and able and excited to be a knockdown piece in the run game, and then playing top down defensively from a pass game standpoint, and then they don't run you over if they run by you. And so we got, from a discipline standpoint, got to show that as well. We got a lot of guys, and we're throwing a lot of reps on them through the first couple of days, and we continue to do so. And then very quickly we got to start winding that down and kind of determine who we're going to work with going into the fall.
You talked about guys not maybe having a lot of reps. You have 2 early enrollees on your defensive backfield. How are they adapting to the college game?
Yeah, I think the one thing that hasn't changed in college football is young guys are young guys, and so the transition from high school to college, again, no disrespect, college to the professional ranks has a major adjustment as well. But there's nothing more extreme than high school to college. It's just the speed. You can get away with the genetic lottery. High school into high school, if you're not where you're supposed to be and stuff like that, you're probably still going to be okay. You're chasing down, move on. Specifically the defensive back position, they'll probably underthrow it anyway if they run by you. So the details and all those things, and that's specific to those 2 guys. I certainly think they're working. The want-to's there, and time will tell. But from a work ethic standpoint, I've been very pleased with both those guys in terms of what they're putting into it.
How would you describe the process of developing chemistry with your assistants?
Yeah, we hate each other. No, it's getting in the room, and then that's honestly a very good question, and it's part of the process too. Now is making sure that as we attack the practice field, that's I don't say that's the starting point because we had a winter together and you're in the room but most of the things you're talking about in the room is theory. Kind of what's the coaching point? How do we want to do this? How do we see this particular technique fundamental? And some of those things, as well as okay, what's the structure from all 11 guys? But then in the end, it's getting the guys on the field, how we coach the guys, our expectations, making sure that we don't accept excuses from the guys, make sure we're not making excuses for our guys, because the bar doesn't get raised if we do some of those things. But no, excited to work with the group, and Coach Dawson and I go way back. But I can mention every single one of them. It's been fun to be on the grass with them, and then great teachers and guys that coach guys hard, and so no, it's a good group. So excited about it.
Alex, you've got a front line that's got really experience, brings a lot of guys back, Malachi, John, those kind of guys, and you also brought in some talent from the transfer portal. What have you seen from those guys, leadership-wise, maybe trying to having that experience on that group? Yeah, and I think leadership. The time will tell from that standpoint. I think again, when you add a new staff component to it, some new players, a new staff. It kind of evens the playing field a touch, just simply from everybody's learning, as opposed to an otherwise second year, third year of the program, something like that, same defense, same offense, where okay, the new guys come in and the older guys, okay, this is how we do things. Well, they're still learning how we do things in some of those things, but in the end, obviously experience. I certainly think they'll draw from that and be, I would say, kind of leadership by example as much as anything at this point.
A couple more.
I mean, look at today's practice. Was there a unit you were happy with? Did any position groups stand out? Any individual players make a play out there? What kind of were the highlights, in your opinion, defensively from today's practice?
Yeah, we were able to get a couple takeaways, I know, and a couple of the drills. I think in other instances, some periods went by where we weren't able to do that. Back end got a couple in some Skelly type situations, which was good, and that's got to continue. And it's hard to mention most specifically anybody in the front 7, because until we have pads on, we're kind of running around and glorified run-throughs and walk-throughs right now. So tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we're going to get a better feel for the group.
You mentioned each position being a wide open competition. What qualities are you looking for from these guys in spring practice to elevate them to earn that role? Yeah,
I think trust and effort. Guys that we can trust to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. And then that effort piece, I just keep going back to it because it's the greatest equalizer in sport. Effort erases mistakes, most mistakes, and it's something that just watching our guys we need to make sure that we spend more time on as a coaching staff. There's a bar that we haven't quite reached yet. I think we think we're going hard, and we're not quite where we need to be that way. But again, I would say trust and effort, and that's what's fun about having 15 days, and we're going to advantage every single one of them.
Thanks, Alex.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you all.
Coach.
Appreciate it.